Ready, set, go.
So I was sitting over there with my thumb on my and I just
Phil Edward. I'm over here rocking out, and the sinus stuff is like making my head so dizzy, and I about fell off my chair. I'm not even kidding.
what's the matter?
I got a sinus
I
headache.
heard you just all of a sudden go, whoa.
I know. I'm over here just like, yeah, and I can't even do that. Oh my gosh.
Is it just me or are we kind of a motley crew this evening?
That's fine. We show up though. We are dedicated.
Oh, we are dedicated.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's all that matters.
that's right.
Feels like I have AIDS.
What in the world?
Gave her AIDS. What?
Did Kanan give you AIDS?
You may have.
Oh, okay.
You may have. It wouldn't surprise me at
Yeah,
all.
with that last trip, boy, was it fun though.
You having a little secret rendezvous without us?
Oh man.
We know what you do behind
Hey,
closed doors.
halfway market, Logan, Ohio. We know right where to go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So what's up, guys?
What's new with you guys? How was your trip
What's
to...
up? We haven't talked for a half hour or nothing.
How was your
Yeah.
trip to with Matt and Kelly?
Awesome.
That's cool. That was a lot of fun.
Ate so much food.
Ate a lot of food.
I wouldn't know what that's like.
Yeah, what's that like?
Man,
Where'd you go?
Brown County.
Brown County, yes.
Brown.
It's like a miniature Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, it's real little. But it's really nice, but it's only like an hour and a half from here. And it looks like you're in the hills of Ohio. It's all hills.
It's all
and-
hills.
yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's really pretty.
That's something about Ohio because I always thought Ohio was flat when I was a kid, but there's actually some decent little hills over there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
If they compare to West Virginia, even Pennsylvania, Ohio's definitely different. And then you go further, and then you have Indiana, and you're like, whoa, what happened here?
Yeah, man.
Oh man, you should go to Illinois. Illinois is horrible.
Illinois is terrible. I grew up there.
Oh yeah, you think
Illinois is a whole different story.
We went to Illinois and Josh Ranke, he loved it. He's like, I just love this flatland. Like, dude, you're full of
Everybody's buying the closest little knoll to put their house on, so that when flooding happens, their house isn't gone.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I hated it.
If you have anywhere that's above 5 feet, that it gets going for 100,000 more than what it is on the flatland.
Yeah, exactly.
You know about
Exactly.
the only flatland I've ever seen in person would be Indiana. Is the flattest
Yeah.
I've seen. But the stuff I've seen like in
Dude.
movies where they're like in Kansas or where, I'm like, what is this
Yeah,
mess?
what is this? Yes, exactly.
Dude, you gotta check out Illinois and then check out Missouri. Some of Missouri just
Missouri?
extremely flat.
Wow,
Missouri. They're all in Missouri up there.
Missouri.
Yes, they are.
I see why too.
I was in Missouri for a short time. I was there.
Gracious. What'd you guys do up there whenever you were up there? I saw you guys were in a carriage for one thing, and then you guys had a pool and a hot tub. And
Yeah. Well, we
That's
didn't.
like a little getaway.
Yeah, just a little getaway. We didn't do any swimming or the hot tub.
Jack did.
Well, he dipped his toes in the water, but that was about
He
it.
caught up to his butt.
Oh my, yes. So we did that. Then of course they got a carriage ride there and a little train ride that kind of takes you to the town. The town's just really old and like rustic looking, so that's really cool.
Shocked a lot.
There's a lot of shops and stuff like that. There's really not a ton to do, honestly, other than just a few shops and some good.
There's a
food.
lot of shops.
There's a lot of shops, but that's about it. There's good food
for
joints
Kanan, like, there's just shops. That's all there is here.
This is all shops.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, she likes it when I just like
Me and Kelly loved it.
it's just shops, but
That's good.
it is pretty. I go up there because it's just pretty and it's such a change of scenery from what we're used to here in Muncie.
Yeah.
Got hills and of course all the leaves were changing now, so it's really pretty.
We do have a guest tonight, but we got a little bit of a trick
Uh-huh.
because we pre-recorded the interview with the guest.
Okay.
So, we got Pete Linko. I get into some of this with Pete in the interview, but he's the guy that got the whole Christmas tree thing started in Pittsburgh
In Pittsburgh?
back last year.
Yeah.
He's got his toes
seen
in
that.
politics a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't think we've seen the last of Pete.
No. No, he said he's running for president 2024.
No, he said he couldn't comment on it.
Oh, excuse me. That usually means
Man.
like you have some plans for politics in the future. That's always an answer.
I'm really excited to see where Pete's going to go. Really, man. He seems like a really cool dude, and man, he seems very very knowledgeable from what I've seen,
Yes.
and seems like he's doing some great things and hobnobbing with some high up people.
Yes, he is. And then he stooped all the way down and came on our show.
Aw.
Yeah, man. I don't know what he was thinking.
I don't either.
His career is ruined. Oh man. No.
But Pete is in a little bit of a fight with PennDOT, which is the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation.
Okay.
They're wanting to put a toll on 79, which to me is outrageous. Why would you do that? And we even get into the interview with Pete. He talks about how much money that PennDOT has unaccounted. And I forget the exact number, but it'll be...
Isn't that where, remember we went to my mom and dad's house up in close to Houtsdale? It took us on a toll road and we were like hating it because it stops you every 10 minutes.
Oh, there's tolls all over
It
Pennsylvania.
was awful. Like, what's the point? And the roads are crap up there. It's worse than ours.
It's ridiculous. Their gas tax is at second highest in the nation, according to Pete.
Yep.
They got tolls all over the place, and they're wanting to add more. And this one's going to be right close to Pittsburgh on Interstate 79, which is one of the main highways of travel
Right.
in Pennsylvania. So we'll have Pete.
Now,
What's that, Kenny? Go ahead.
79, doesn't that run down there through your neck of the woods as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The 79 runs all the way up into Pittsburgh then.
It runs all the way up to Erie, Pennsylvania, I think.
Wow. Okay.
So they're wanting to add tolls there, and Pete is on a mission to stop it. So he's starting to make some more waves again.
Yes.
For sure. What do you think his chances are of winning?
That I don't know, because I'll say this about the first, and I didn't know this till we talked to him. When he was trying to get that Christmas tree saved, he
Yeah.
actually got what's the word I'm looking for? Like, he got contacted by the mayor of Pittsburgh, his office, who's a Democrat,
No.
and told Pete, he's like, "Yeah, I'm in this with you. We want to get this Christmas tree
That's
saved."
so cool, though.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
That is awesome.
So, and Pete spearheaded that whole thing. So I'd say don't count out Pete Linko. I mean, PennDOT's a pretty big outfit, and obviously they love to collect money. But
Yeah.
if I had to bet on somebody, I think I'd bet on Pete.
Well, no, that's awesome, man. I love it. I love it.
But anyways, we might as well just go ahead and turn Pete Linko loose, huh?
Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. So first of all, I mean, me and you known each other not really well, but we've known each other for years, right?
Oh man, absolutely. It's been decades
Yes.
of knowing each other.
I remember going to church camp, and you and your brother were always a fixture there. And next thing I know, I look up, and old Pete Linko's making the headlines in Pittsburgh.
Well, somebody's got to do it. Unfortunately, sometimes my name gets thrown out there. So
So before we get into the reason that I've got you on tonight, give me a little bit of backstory as to what got you involved in this stuff anyways, because most people, they see politics and they run the other way. You know, they don't want to get involved. It's too messy. It causes issues with friends and family and all that. So what made you kind of run right into the fire?
it's absolutely crazy. 2 years ago, I had nothing to do with politics. I voted, turned on the news every once in a while, and that was it. And I was kind of just like your average American. It doesn't really affect me, or I don't think I can do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly but surely, situation by situation, I learned how much we need good people to stand up and to do the right thing, and how much that can have an impact on our culture, on our society, and how if we don't do it, then who is?
You're absolutely right. And it seems like to me, at least for now, you're taking the more local approach, getting involved in the local, like state and local politics. And I think a lot of us, myself included, we lose sight of the fact that that's what affects us the most when it really comes down to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone, every 4 years, everyone gets all crazy and, oh man, this guy or this lady or I want to support this person for president, whatever. And it's like, well, how about year to year, the local elections that are having a greater impact on you, your family, your kids, your taxes, and people just, it is absolutely crazy. I think if you look at a local election, the average voter turnout is somewhere in the 20 to 30% of registered voters. It is absolutely insane.
That's pitiful.
Yeah, it is.
That's pitiful. And something, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but something I've always thought about is when I look at the difference between West Virginia and a place like New York or California, in either of those two states, you've got really oppressive gun laws. You've got really oppressive taxes. And when I sit and think about it, I'm like, well, we're under the exact same federal system. We're all under the same laws. But what makes the difference between West Virginia and New York is our state and local politics.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I got to tell you, I got to throw this in here. I was down in West Virginia at the beginning of the year. We were at Charleston. You ever been to Charleston?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay. We were at the State House, and there was a big rally going on there trying to get Manchin to vote against, I believe it was Senate Bill 1. It was the voting act bill that was coming up. And I'll tell you what, man, I had the best time with those hillbillies down there. I'll tell you what, man, I said, I always, you've been in Pennsylvania, people are always talking smack on everybody down there. And I'm like, dude, I feel more at home here than I do in PA. And it was awesome. At the very end, I mean, it was, God was all throughout this rally. I mean, everything, faith. I love that aspect of it. But then at the end, I've never experienced this. We're standing there, beautiful day, with the glistening Capitol in the background. One of the youngest state reps to ever get elected there in West Virginia came up with a guitar, and they started singing "Take Me Home, Country Roads."
Of
and
course they do.
I'll tell you what, I said, I need to move to West Virginia because this is almost heaven.
Yes,
okay?
indeed.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, there's two songs that you can get West Virginians fired up with. One of them is the national anthem. They usually get pretty excited over that, but Country Roads by far.
Yeah.
You can play that one, and it doesn't matter where you're at, they're coming unglued.
Yeah, you play Country Roads and we throw a party.
Absolutely. Now, is that your state song? It has to be.
I think it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is the state song, and then of course it gets played at the WVU games, and it gets played everywhere. And from what I understand, it wasn't even really written about West Virginia. There's been a couple different stories I've heard, but and I'll have to fact check myself because if I'm wrong on this, our West Virginia crowd will light me up. But from what I understand, it wasn't even really written about us because you got the Blue Ridge Mountains. I don't even know if the Shenandoah River even hits West Virginia. That's Virginia, and the Blue Ridge Mountains just barely touches West Virginia. But by George, we took that song and ran with it. That's right. That's good, man. That's awesome.
And everybody knows to sing the part about moonshine.
Oh yeah.
Is that what it is? See, I don't know all the words. I just know the chorus. So
yes. Well, I'll tell you something funny. I went and saw. And you're probably familiar with them. You know the Booth Brothers?
Yeah.
So I went and saw them back. It's been a couple years ago, and they had just recorded like a country album where they took a bunch of the old country songs and they sung them. And one of them that they did was Country Roads. And John, you got a dog fight going on there? What the heck? It sounds like you're in
This
this.
is great, man.
Yeah.
This is great.
I didn't know if that was coming from John or if that was coming from you, Pete. I thought you might have been at the State House or something. That was some of the debate going on.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
I tried to mute my microphone because I'm trying to get these dogs to quit thrashing around.
That's the most West Virginia thing I've ever heard.
That's right. I wasn't gonna say it, but
I'm trying to get these dogs settled down so I can talk.
oh man.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk on this podcast, and I got two horses stomping around fighting.
But I'll tell you, so we went and saw the Booth Brothers, and they sung Country Roads from their new album, but they changed the lyrics when it came to Moonshine. And so whenever, of course, the whole crowd was singing along with them, and then they pulled a gotcha on us, because we sung the Moonshine lyrics, and of course they gave us, well, shame on you guys.
Right. That's great.
What'd they change it to, Dr. Pepper?
I forget what they changed it to. I don't remember, but I mean, they kind of had to. You're singing in a Baptist church. You got to clean it up a little bit.
Right.
Some Mountain Dew, man.
Yeah. Some
There
Mountain
you
Dew.
go.
Yeah, West Virginia gets pretty fired up about this kind of stuff. And one thing I like, you were talking about being at that rally. One thing I like about West Virginia is we do a pretty good job of just kind of skating under the radar. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's not a whole lot
Absolutely.
goes on here. Not very many people want to move here, which that seems to be maybe changing a little bit depending on who you listen to. But we just kind of do our own thing, and we're lucky enough where it's a rural enough state that people stay pretty level headed, and we wind up not having quite the issues that a lot of the more populated states have. With a lot of the taxes and gun laws and stuff like that. So we stay pretty quiet down here.
Absolutely.
Well,
I love to see what's going on down there. And I know one of the things that came up recently was I believe they removed sales tax from all firearms and ammunition, and just stuff like that. That their hands-off approach is just, it's beautiful to see.
Yeah.
Especially coming from the state of Pennsylvania. But we'll get into that in a little bit, I'm sure.
Yes, we will.
Well, I'll tell you how rural West Virginia gets. The one county I used to live in, and this was the 2009 census, I do believe, there were 9,000 residents in the entire county. And there was one stoplight in the entire county.
Wow. Man.
Yeah, we all get excited when Walmart comes to town.
Yeah.
I remember, and you'll have to correct me, Pete, about how long ago this was. You were involved in something to do with the Christmas tree in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah. So that was last December. This was kind of one of my first forays into fighting up against bureaucratic entities in the state of Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
But our Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, or DCNR, which runs our state parks, beautiful. If you've been to Pittsburgh, there's a beautiful park, right? It's called the Point. And during the summer, there's a fountain, and that whole area gets filled up with people watching fireworks. And it's actually a very historic spot. George Washington was there. It was a fort way back when, and just beautiful spot. Well, during the winter, as they prepare for Christmas, they put up what's called a tree of lights, a Christmas tree that is there, and it's very iconic. It's been there for over 30 years. And last year, they decided that, well, this tree, it's old. This is historic ground, so we need to get rid of the tree. And they were just going to get rid of it. They said, we're done. It's not going to happen anymore.
Now, this was when COVID the COVID lockdowns were going really hard. Did that have anything to do with it?
No, it didn't have anything to do with that. It was, their argument was, this is historic ground, and where this tree sits, it tears up the ground when we got to put the supports in, and just some crazy excuses as to why this, as what I put it in our petition, it was a historic tree to begin with. It's older than me. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been there forever. And fun fact, where the tree actually sits, I've actually looked at maps from the 1700s, and that area was actually underwater. So it was like the shoreline. So it's like they're saying, well, this tree is on historic ground. I'm like, there wasn't even ground here. It was the Ohio River, and they didn't want to hear that though.
Of course not. So what did you have to go through? Give me the outcome of that. I remember seeing, of course I follow you on Facebook, and I remember seeing a lot of the updates and stuff on there, and you were getting some attention, and so kind of lead me through that story, what you had to go through and what the outcome of that was.
Well, I'll actually tell you this. I actually was sick with the coronavirus, and I was laying in bed. I had it pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't really do much. And I was just on my phone, and I read an article from Pittsburgh Magazine saying how this is the final year for this historic tree of lights. This is it. They had the last lighting. They do a big deal. On the light up night, they light it up, and it's a big deal. They said, this is the final time. And I said, I'm laying there in my, I wouldn't say deathbed. It wasn't that bad, but I'm laying there. Just to add to the story there. No, I'm laying there.
You gotta ham it up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see Jesus as I'm laying there.
My last breath. I have one more thing to do. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm laying there, right? And I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, why is this just going away? Why is no one doing anything about it? And I said, you know what? If I got to be the person to stand up and do something, then I'm going to try. Like, I at least got to try. And so I started a petition that night. And by the morning, like the next day or two, we had 2,000 signatures. Like,
wow.
It was crazy. It blew up. Like, I shared it with some people, some groups, then they shared it. And this was there was a ton of backlash. Pretty soon, we had basically all of the big media in Pittsburgh covering it, and it just continued to grow. I had one of the state senators reach out to me. I talked with him. We had a state rep that reached out to me and was like, yeah, there's no way this is going to happen. Like, we're with you. We want to help you fight this, and we're going to. Even Mayor Bike Lane Billy Peduto of Pittsburgh.
Mayor Bike Lane Billy.
Bike Lane Billy even supported it. I could not believe it. I said, what is going on?
He actually supported it?
He did. Yes, I had an official correspondence with his office that they were behind saving the tree. I could not believe that.
Wow.
Yeah, I could not believe that. So we were able to get him on board. That was awesome. Surprising, but awesome. And it just continued to grow. And I remember 4 days in, we literally put so much pressure on the DCNR and then Duquesne Light, which sponsors the tree. Duquesne Light, actually, come to find out, wanted to keep the tree there. But the state park said, well, we don't want it in this spot, so we'll put it in another spot. Duquesne Light said, no, we want it in this iconic spot. They basically reached this impasse and said it's done. But because of public pressure, we actually, within like 4 days, we actually brought them back to the table to say, okay, the people are demanding that this thing stay. And within a week, we had a reverse decision. And not only that, they said, we're committed to putting it up again. And we're actually going to design a new tree with, same dimensions and everything. Because one of the concerns was it wasn't like energy efficient. I'm like, okay, but the point is like, we're just going to take this iconic thing away.
Yeah.
And because of public pressure, right? Because people stood up, we were able to literally change the dynamic of what was going on there. And it was absolutely breathtaking to see it happen so fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's not something that people get to see very often, where it's people, getting involved, and not only getting involved, but seeing things happen because they got involved.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't
Yeah,
have that
absolutely.
experience. And I would say probably because most people just don't get involved, But
Well,
you
it goes
actually got to
back
see
to
it
that.
happen.
Yeah, it goes back to that fundamental thing that I said earlier. People don't understand how much their voice matters,
Mm-hmm.
how much of an impact one person can make. Look, I'm just one guy. I couldn't save the tree,
Mm-hmm.
but because I took the step to say, you know what, I'm going to try and do something. And then someone else gets on board. And then we reached over 10,000 signatures that we had with and more so that didn't sign, but that we had their support. It's that kind of momentum that I wanted people to see. And we were able to demonstrate that, hey, this is a tree. And some people say, well, this is silly. Yeah, sure it is. There's definitely more pressing issues. But if people were challenged by that to say, wow, hey, I made a difference here. What else can I do to make a difference in my community?
Right. That's an inspiring message. It really is. Even for somebody like myself, because I'm the kind of guy that sits around and moans and complains about a lot of things. But so it
Sure,
does.
well, we
me,
all do it. We all
Yes.
do it. Yeah.
But it does me a lot of good to see that things can happen. Especially
John doesn't. John goes out there and does it. But
exactly right. Exactly right. So that brings us around to, I saw you started raising some cane there about a proposed toll for 79. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So PennDOT, or ScamDOT, as I like to call them.
Ooh, boy, I like that.
Yeah. You see how I get in trouble really quick.
If you ain't getting in trouble, you ain't having fun.
That's right, John. Yes.
Well,
Thank you, John.
let me clarify something for people that's listening too. So Interstate 79, I mean, that's one of the main veins of travel, not only for like Pennsylvania, but West Virginia. I mean, that's how we all get to Pennsylvania, is on Interstate 79.
That's what I was thinking. 79 runs all the way up north to Erie, PA. And then I believe it stops somewhere in West Virginia. But I was going to ask you guys, I feel like when you guys would come up to Pittsburgh, you're taking 79. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. Pretty much 100% of the time. Yes.
Wow. Absolutely.
Yeah, mile marker 1 on 79 starts in Charleston.
Charleston. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I did not know that.
And so this is the main way of travel, because this goes right up through past Morgantown. Anybody that's going to the university, or going from the university or that general area of Morgantown, which is one of our bigger towns in West Virginia. I guess you could, it's a city, but it barely makes the cutoff. But that's where West Virginia Mountaineers are. It's a big place. It goes all the way down. If I travel 79 pretty much every single day for work or for whatever, and that's the way that I would say probably 90% of West Virginians get into Pennsylvania is on Interstate 79. And so they're wanting to put a toll on this, right?
Yeah. So PennDOT came up with this genius idea. They said, well, you know what? We are going to put a toll on one of the busiest commuter roads in the area. About 100,000 commuters go on that stretch of 79 every day. And that is insane. And they're doing that strategically. Unfortunately, they're not thinking about those that are affected by it. I understand the need to raise money, but that location that they're specifically thinking, which is the Bridgeville exit there on 79, very close to Pittsburgh. A lot of people use it just to go back and forth, let alone the people in West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
But just people locally use that road. And it's PennDOT messed up on this one big time.
So how long is the stretch of road that will be, the proposal has to be under a toll?
So officially right now, it's going to be one bridge. But we have some pretty credible sources that claim that this one is one of many to be put on 79, up to 10. That is not official. That is not out in the press. But this one is going to be decisive, and it will be the domino effect if we allow this to move forward.
So basically, they'll see what they can get away with by proposing the first one.
100%, yes.
Yeah. Well, that seems to be the way that these things go. And I know from West Virginia, because we have we got a turnpike down south somewhere, and
64. Am I correct on that? I might be. John knows. We'll ask John.
John, do you know? I know you've ran the state a lot more than I have. I know it's down there somewhere, but I'm not.
Yeah, it's down down around Beckley.
Okay.
I can't remember the actual route number, but yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, if I got my facts straight here, there was like a sunset clause for this back in the day when it was proposed. But then, through the magic of government, it just doesn't sunset. It doesn't go away.
Right.
It's still there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they never do. They never do. I mean, in PA, we're still paying the Johnstown flood tax, and that happened in the first half of the 1900s.
Holy cow.
Stuff like that happens all the time.
Good Lord. The thing is, too, in that general area, there are a decent amount of toll roads up through there. Around the Pittsburgh area. I remember when I was delivering, and if you're running, if you're not careful, like if you're running from Morgantown to Greensburg, you get hit with one. There's one up there somewhere too, like around Pittsburgh. When I used to be a delivery driver up and would run in that area. I remember hitting them up there. So it's not like that place isn't already hit with tolls. That general area isn't hit with tolls anyways. No,
I mean, there's so many. I mean, you have 76, which cuts across there. There is that one down what you're talking about. But what's funny is PA, of all the places in the world, actually we have the most expensive toll road system in the world.
I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's insane. It is literally the most expensive road to travel on. The system is. And all of this is done to support PennDOT, to support maintaining the roads. We also in Pennsylvania have the second highest gas tax in the country, second only to California, and that's just because they raised theirs. So it is absolutely insane. All of these projects are funded by these taxes and tolls, and yet still, year after year, they come up short. I was listening to a PennDOT. They had a meeting between some state reps and PennDOT, and this was a year or so ago. And I remember the PennDOT, I believe it was the CEO saying, "Hey, we need more money." And the state rep looks at, this is on Zoom, and looks into the camera and says, "How did you not know that you're going to run out of money a week ago?" Because this was like, it wasn't like, "Oh, we're going to run out of money next year."
Mm-hmm.
No, it's like literally in a couple of days, we're going to run out of money. We need more money. And this is something that happens time after time after time. And the problem, Phil, is this. It's not tolls. It's not the taxes. It's the mismanagement of funds at PennDOT. That is the ultimate source of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And these people get away with this stuff over and over and over. And I feel like people don't understand how they have the voice to stand up against this and how they have to listen. These people are paid with our tax dollars.
Mm-hmm.
These projects are funded by our tax dollars.
You're correct.
And something I want to add in here, the Turnpike Commission, which is responsible for collecting tolls, which if these tolls go through, will be responsible for collecting the tolls on 79. Last year alone, they did not collect $104 million in tolls. Maybe somebody went through and they sent them a bill and nobody paid it. And $104 million in uncollected tolls. The problem, yes, the problem is not with, these tolls, right? Well, we need to add another toll. That's not going to be the solution. The problem is We have people that are seemingly incapable. Phil, can I tell you what would happen to me if at my job I just lost $104 million?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Would I be getting a raise? Would I still have my job? Absolutely not. But yet these incompetable people at PennDOT are just a disaster, and it's a joke. And it shows a sad state of affairs, and I'm hoping that people will wake up to this.
Yes. Yes.
So have they give some kind of an estimate on how much they expect to collect from this new toll booth?
Well, if we do the math, right? So let's say 100,000 people. I don't think they've actually come out with a number. It's kind of in that stage where they're still developing that. But think about 100,000 people a day, and $1 or $2 toll.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's some serious cash flow.
Oh, yes.
Right, and they will probably be making 2 trips through there, going to and from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I don't know how
yeah.
the math works out. 100,000 commuters. I'm not sure if that. I don't know how that breaks down. But either way, we're talking about some serious cash.
So we're talking at least $100,000 a day. They think that that's going to fix the whole issue with not collecting tolls and all that stuff.
Well, absolutely. And this is actually one of 9 bridges across the state that they want to toll. So this isn't just like an isolated thing here. They want to do this across the state. And personally, I think this is the worst of them all. I think they're all, well, anyway, I have my comments on the other ones, but the one that I'm focused on is 79, and it's just a disaster. It's a disaster waiting to happen. The other problem is with tolls come toll dodgers, right? People that don't want to pay the tolls. So guess what? I'm taking the back roads. The problem with that is there's 2 roads that go underneath 79 there that people use as an alternative. It's Route 50 and Washington Pike. The problem with that is those 2 roads are already gridlocked at rush hour. And the argument there is, what's going to happen when we have people that don't want to pay the toll? They're going to be on these side streets with an already gridlocked system. Yep. I mean, it is literally a disaster waiting to happen. And PennDOT, I don't know, I don't know what these bureaucrats do, but I think they just close their eyes, look at a map, and point to it. You know what I mean? It's like it makes zero sense. It really does.
Well, and then what kind of traffic issues is that going to cause on 79 itself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's that's a big thing too.
You got people have to slow down.
Like
the toll.
The turnpike that we have down south, there's really not a lot of people on that one. Probably because they try to stay off of it. I know I do.
Right.
But there's not hardly any traffic on there. So, you can just pull right up, pay your toll, and go on. But, having that many, 100,000 commuters per day, what kind of traffic issues is that going to cause on the interstate itself?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, there's just a lot that needs to be rethought out. And it's a mess. It's a mess. But, what else is new? What else is new in the well, anyway, I won't make any more comments on that.
I've worked, EMS and as a firefighter, this month actually made 10 years. Wow. And so I've done a lot of, non-emergency transports, taking people there's a psychiatric hospital down in Bluefield that's right on the West Virginia border. I mean, half the town's in West Virginia and half of it's in Virginia. Mm-hmm. And so we have to hit the toll road, going down through there. It's just quick and easy. And in the ambulance, having a patient in the ambulance, we have to stop and pay a toll.
That is crazy.
They don't give you a pass for nothing.
That's crazy.
That's flat out insanity. Peach, talking about the mismanagement by government, and I think this is what really makes me a fairly small government guy. And I'm not anti-government. I understand
Sure.
it's got its place and we need it. But when it comes to these small things, I think you said $104 million that just they didn't collect.
Yeah. And it's crazy.
It's ridiculous. And it seems like most things that government gets their fingers into, they're just incompetent to do it, because really, I mean, they'll say there's oversight committees and all this, that, and the other, but who's really watching? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's like where we used to live at, up around Fort Ashby. And there was New Creek Fire Department. How big, Phil, do you think the community was? It wasn't even as big as like Clinton there in Pennsylvania, was it, around the church camp?
No, it wasn't as big as Clinton. It was,
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even really a town. It was just a community.
Yeah. So the fire department for New Creek, they go out and they purchase $1 million brand new 100-foot ladder truck. And the tallest building that they had in their first due area was Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And we carry normal extension ladders that'll reach the roof of Walmart. But they tried to justify that. And so there's Kaiser Fire Department. They have some 3- and 4-story buildings. It's an older town. They got big brick buildings. Well, they have a ladder truck to cover their area. Well, between Kaiser and New Creek, there's basically no split. It's like New Creek is kind of like the like the suburbs of Kaiser kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got a ladder truck less than 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
But it's just they had money, and this is why I'm against fire fees. Even being a fireman, I'm against fire fees because they get mismanaged like that.
Mm-hmm.
Fire levies, the way I feel about that is they're going to take my tax money anyhow. So the fire departments should get a piece of that money, just because it's hard to get money any other way. But like fire fees, I don't know how many times I've seen it, over the 10 years that I've been involved in it, how many times it's gotten mismanaged and they just buy ridiculous stuff and they don't use it, for stuff that they actually need.
Mm-hmm.
And so to your point, John, then you take that, and that's just a small little thing that you've seen. I mean, I saw it for just a few years while I was in, and you've seen it for many more years than I have. That's just one small area of local government that the money gets mismanaged in. So you take that and you blow it up to a state the size of Pennsylvania. I mean, Lord knows how much, and we just know about that $104 million, Pete. Who knows about what else we don't know?
What else is underneath? Yeah,
exactly right.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And so their solution is, instead of let's shore up the cracks here, let's figure out where we're leaking from and fix what we can. Their solution is, let's yank some more money out of these people's pockets.
No, that's exactly it, man. It is asinine to think that, hey, we have a problem. You know what's going to solve it? Just taxing people more. And that's the way government works, unfortunately. In a lot of cases.
Yep.
Not always, but a lot of cases we see that.
Well, and they're not going to step up and say, hey, we messed up. They're not going to, go out of their way to fix something. They're just going to propose something new,
right?
That's not going to take any effort on their part.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the hardest things for me to see is especially when it comes to this toll. I mean, you guys are talking about, with locally there with the fire departments there, and I totally get that. That is absolutely it's crazy with some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But with the tolls here, it's like PennDOT came out with this plan, maybe got a couple hits on the media, and that's about it. They did a public meeting and nobody knew about it. So I don't know how many people showed up, but it was very few. And since I've started this petition, so many people have come up to me and said, Pete, thanks for bringing this to our attention. We had no idea. And to me, that is sad, because it's like, this is a huge deal. This is going to impact a lot of people. And I
Yes.
get it. It's not smart for PennDOT to come out and say, hey, we're going to put a toll road here. Like, I get that. But you have to at least present this in a way to the general public and take their feedback. Because again, I'm going to rehash this. It's our tax dollars.
Yes.
This
Mhm.
isn't your business. You are my employee. I pay you. The
Mhm.
people of Pennsylvania pay you to do a good job. And right now, we're not seeing that. And unfortunately, now, we have to fight to have accountability in this aspect.
That's crazy. That's crazy, Pete. And you said about their gas tax. Okay, so that's mind-boggling to me to think that you all have to have that high of a gas tax to be higher than, I'm guessing, if you're second in the nation, that's higher than even New York.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So why all this need for money? When we all know that New York outranks you in population, and the need for infrastructure up there.
Right.
It just, you get this feeling after a while. It's like, okay, when is it enough? When is enough where you got to stop taking money out of my pocket?
Well, it'll never be. And the road that we're headed on in America today, and this is kind of getting off of the local issue, but to get kind of a national overview too, and even in states, we see this push for bigger government, more control, more dominance over how you live your life or how you don't live your life, because we're going to tell you can't do that. And like you said, I mean, where does it stop? It doesn't with how some of these people view government. It really goes back to the basic fundamentals of how do we look at our country? What is the role of government? Why do we have government? Now, like, I agree with you, right? We have to have government. There is a role for it. But when is enough enough?
Right.
And all we're seeing now is this push for bigger government. What can the government do for me? How can I benefit from them? And it goes against the fundamental American values of what can I do for my family, right? It goes against that basic, that was what built this country.
Yes.
The faith in God and the work ethic that came from that, because we work with all our might to the glory of God and to build our community and our family. And when we start stepping away from that and we start saying, well, I'm going to depend on the government to solve my problems, to solve the problems that are around me, when it really, we need as individuals to stand up in our communities and say, you know what, I don't need the government to help me. We're able to stand together. Let's start solving some of these problems as a community.
Yeah. That's one of the things that has really bothered me, especially over the past year and a half, 2 years, is to see this lack of personal responsibility. You know what I mean? This whole thing of, okay, I am the one that's responsible for my safety, for my family's safety, for my well-being. And I think that's maybe, and I don't know exactly where I fall on the political spectrum, because the more I think about it, the more I find areas that I'm more centrist than I used to think that I was and all that. But I think that's where a lot of people that tend to lean right, we just realize it's up to me. I can call, if something's going down at my house, I can call 911, but it's going to take a little while. You know what I mean? When it comes down to that very basic act of protecting my family and myself, that is, at the end of the day, that falls at my feet. And it disturbs me to see then in more overarching issues where it seems the trend is, I'm going to let the government do more of this. I want them to take care of this part of, and them to provide for me and keep me safe. When it's like, listen, man, like you said, Pete, what made this country great was, hey, we're going to do it. We can do it. We can handle this.
Absolutely. And just to kind of add on to that, when we think about taxes, right, and we think about one of the problems is when we see government work, we see them from a distance, especially when it comes to the federal government. We see that as a distance. When it comes to the state, we have you guys, Charleston. For us, it's Harrisburg. We're disconnected from that. We don't really see. But when it comes to local, guess what? I remember the community we moved from. I knew where the mayor lived. If I had a problem, I could, hey, what's going on with this? Could we see a resolution with this? And let me tell you something. I think that's where we need to get back to, where I would love to see the majority of my taxes. And obviously, I know that there's need for taxes for national defense and for our state, but I would love to see my taxes being used in my community.
Yes.
And being used in communities to where I can hold them accountable. Listen, I have a pretty hard time keeping people accountable in Harrisburg. Let's look at what's going on right now with 79, and let alone the federal government with some of these, agencies and things like that. I can't see where my money's going.
Yep.
And so I don't have a problem with, taxes that are going for necessity, but I want to make sure that my money, that my tax dollars are being used efficiently, and that they're being a good steward of the money that we have in this country and our state and local community. And it's just a mess. I'll tell you what. I'll stop there, but it is a mess, and we need to get back to the basics on what is government, what does that mean, and how do we hold those in office accountable?
Right. I'm definitely in agreement with you there. I'm not one of these taxation is theft guys. I have a couple of those friends. Sure. I'm like, no, I don't believe that. But
sometimes it is, but no. No.
And it depends on when you ask me. If it's after
when you see that bonus check,
exactly right.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly right. So yeah.
No, I get you.
And you think about it, as a working man, I know how hard it is to make that money. So if you're going to force me to pay that money, and you look at West, I've talked about this different times. You look at like the way that property taxes are in West Virginia. If you don't pay that property tax, the sheriff will show up and he'll throw you out in the street. So these are very strictly enforced taxes out of hard-earned money that I make. So I want to make sure that they're being used correctly. And I think that kind of sums up my feeling on taxes. I'm not anti-tax. I'm not, but I just want to make sure, don't be over there. Don't be screwing it up. Don't be using on frivolous stuff. And, let's make sure this thing's run right and that you're not missing $104 million.
It's like, when can we start running it like a business?
Yes.
And I know it's different, but let's have that same mentality. Right? How do we have that mentality? How do we have that paradigm shift in how we view this money? Because the government acts like it is just this mass amount that is just never going to end. It's like, well, you can tax your people out of existence.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I'm not going to be an extremist and say that's happening, but I think we're on a path that could lead to that.
Sure it could. With unchecked government, you could very quickly get there. In closing here, Pete, you've obviously taken an active role in your local politics. What would, if somebody's listening to this now and they like what they're hearing, they're like that they can hear, that somebody, just a normal guy, has stepped up and said, I'm going to be a part of, what advice could you give them on how to get involved in these kind of issues, or whatever issue that they see that needs addressed in their local area? What could you tell them as far as that first step on how to get involved in things like this? Well,
again, I would just reassure them that I was just like them. I was sitting there. I voted. I did my civic duty, and I stepped up and did that. But there was a desire in my heart to do more. And I know that there are people out there that they want to do it. They don't know how to. And one of the biggest things that I would say is understand what's going on in your issue. Some people are concerned about what's going on in their school district. Some people are concerned about what's going on their community council or their county council. if there's an issue like that that's bothering you, that you want to see change, reach out to those people. Maybe there's a county council person that you could talk to, or a neighborhood, someone that's on your local school board, something like that. And find other people that you're around that are passionate about those issues. Go to them. Hey, let's start to organize a little bit. I think that's the biggest thing, is finding a network of people that agree with you, because there's a lot of people, you'd be surprised, that
Yes.
agree with you on even some of these local issues.
Yep.
I mean, look at our petition. We're looking at 2,000 people in a very short amount of time that have come together on this one issue. You may disagree on other things, and that's okay, but find common ground on the issues and work together on finding a solution. And that's going to look different in every scenario. But if it's a school board, maybe you need to run for school board. Maybe there's something you need to step up, not just be involved, but maybe you need to take an active role in running for something.
Yes.
That's not for everybody, but at least you could get involved in maybe supporting a candidate. Find your local political affiliation, reach out to them and say, I want to help. I want to work with you. And if people don't understand this, but there really are whatever their affiliation is, they're there locally, wherever they are, and they need help. And you could just be a help. I know one time we went in and just made signs for candidates and things like that. And so there's always a role for people. They just have to be active in finding out the solution to the problem that they're facing.
That's very good. That's very good advice. And you talked about people, there's a lot of people that agree with you. Like the whole Christmas tree thing, from what I understand, that was pretty much a bipartisan effort, right? Because what'd you call him, Bike Lane Billy?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean,
he's a Democrat, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so definitely working across the aisle. And this is crazy too, Phil. When we're looking at 79, I had a friend of mine who is a socialist. Okay. He's the opposite end of the spectrum for me. And at first I told him about it, and he said, well, I don't know if I can sign it. I almost did, but there were some issues that we talked through, and I explained my position. He explained his position, and we left the conversation really understanding where each other's mindset was. And a couple minutes later, he came up to me and he said, Pete, he said, I agree with you, and I signed your petition. And so let me tell you something. If a socialist and a small government conservative can come together and agree on something,
yep.
PennDOT done messed up, man. It's bad. It's bad.
That is
that's
exactly right.
What's happening.
That is exactly right. Pete, before we go, I want to ask you, can you either confirm or deny that you'll be running for president in 24?
24, I can't comment on that at this time. But listen, this isn't the last you've heard of activists standing up for what they believe in. And I would encourage your listeners, if they travel 79, or even if they just care about sticking up for something good, I'd ask them to consider signing our petition. I don't know if we could even get maybe a link or something,
absolutely,
and out to them. And hey, let's do this. Let's stand up. And my encouragement to all of you is you can literally make the difference. And it just takes you to do one thing, to stand up and take a stand for your principles, and you can change just about anything.
Well said. Very well said. Do you have a website or something that people can go to, or do you want to just send me a link and I'll post it in our show notes, or how do you want to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I have we're on change.org, and the petition is stop the I-79 tolls, and I can also send you the link for everybody to check out.
Absolutely. We'll push it. I like it, man.
Awesome, man.
Sounds great to me.
Yeah, like I said, those people down in West Virginia, man, I don't want them, a lot. There's a lot of commuters. We don't realize it. Man, I travel. I actually live out the other end, and a lot of people travel up on the, I should say, the western side of the state. A lot of people come out from West Virginia and up 79 and all around that to work in Pittsburgh in the
Oh,
area.
yeah.
So we want to make sure that they know what's going on and that we get their support. So appreciate that.
And I'll tell you this too, one of our biggest groups of listeners, according to the analytics that I see, we tie Pennsylvania and West Virginia go back and forth as far as our biggest states. So we should have some people,
Okay, well, good.
people that
Well,
are
hey,
listening that will be interested in what you're talking about here.
Well, that's awesome, man. And I appreciate you guys. I love what you guys. Thanks for having me on, and it was great talking with you guys today.
Absolutely, man. Keep us updated, and we'll definitely be watching this issue close. And once you win it, man, we want to have you back on so you can gloat a little bit.
We'll do a little victory lap,
Yeah, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Well, I appreciate that.
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate it, buddy.
All right. God bless you guys and take care.
Yep, you too.